UFC 199 had another tremendous card with a lot of great fights, but one moment might have overshadowed Bisping's knockout, and we can check out the UFC 199 recap clip. Will be going up either within the hour, at the hour. It should be up at some point today. But one of those moments that overshadowed the rest of the fight card, which truly is a pathetic moment from the UFC, and at least in my opinion, and we'll get to more of that in a second, was what had to do with Brock Lesnar's story getting broken. So Brock Lesnar's fighting at UFC 200. Big news. Here's the end of the trailer that played for the fans ahead of the UFC 199 main event, which really got everyone on their feet to see everybody, especially the last 5 seconds of the trailer. It picks up from the very end. Take a look.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
So people get excited.
I was excited.
Another person. He's fighting Mark Hunt, by the way, on at UFC 200. It's basically a 75-year-old man versus a 75-year-old man, actually. So Mark Hunt coming off of 2 wins against Antonio Silva and Frank Mir. He's 42 years of age, 12-10 MMA record. But that's not the point here. The point here is that Brock Lesnar is returning. He has an opponent. Vince McMahon of the WWE is allowing Brock Lesnar to have this one-off fight. He is still under contract with the WWE, but for UFC 200, it's another big draw. People love Brock Lesnar. He's been there since UFC 80, UFC 70. He's been there for a long time. But what happened really to overshadow all of this, at least from the media aspect, is that Ariel Helwani of MMAfighting.com and previously of Fox Sports and coverage of UFC was kicked out, banned for life at first, although that got pulled way back to just an indefinite suspension. And got his press credential pulled from the UFC, and Fertitta Brothers specifically, because at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, according to Helwani, he broke the story that Diaz and McGregor will be fighting at UFC 202, and then at 5 o'clock Pacific, before they ran that trailer, before the main event, he broke that Brock Lesnar would be fighting at UFC 200. A reporter was kicked out of a UFC 200 event for literally doing his job.
It's really frustrating because reporters' job is to go in and break the news, right? And it showcases that there is no real boundaries to the power that comes from the UFC. Like we talk about how guys like McGregor and other fighters have a large amount of power when it comes to the sport, when in true, like the real reason behind all this is that Dana White and the owners, they have the ultimate power. They can do as they please when it comes to this. They'll try to get the big money fight. They'll try to pick and choose who they want to come in. That's why you don't get a lot of, I would say, well-earned matches happening. Whereas we talked about before, Dana's like, if Ronda comes back, she's getting the title shot, right? Whether people think it's earned or not, it comes down to his final decision. And this is just another example of him using that power and taking advantage of it, because reporter's job is to break the news. It's not on your terms when someone breaks that news. That's the whole idea of reporting. You imbeciles. It's ridiculous, right? We're not reporters, we're not out there, but if someone tells us a story, we're going to fucking report it, regardless of what happens in it, because we're going to do the research, obviously, and we're going to report it. He wasn't reporting any lies. There was no... If he went out there as a respected reporter who works for Fox and has been by the way, he's been a great ambassador for the UFC for many years, one of the most respected reporters. If he came out and went, McGregor and Mayweather officially happening, next fight, it's going to happen in the UFC, then maybe, if a guy like that is spreading rumors like that, then you could maybe say, that's not your duty because it's not truth and you're one of our most respected reporters. But if he's reporting the truth, then there's a reason why he's reporting the truth, because it is going to happen. Whether you wanted them to report it before you could run your trailer or not and make the more money from it, that's not up to you, my friend. That's what reporters are there to do. So
yeah, what makes me so frustrated about it is it's like a propagandist bullshit type of method of running an organization, because first of all, at one point, and it's died out a lot because of social media, but the media was never put in place in the first time for historical context to be fluff. It wasn't supposed to be out there to report about Calvin Harris and Taylor Swift breaking up. That's not news. Well, people find it interesting, and that's why it's categorized as human interest stories. It's not news. What is news, if you are in sports media or in regular media in general, is reporting on what is going to be happening in the future and whether or not it has an effect on the people that are fighting, the business of the UFC in itself, or in this case, just one guy trying to do his job.
So what happens if he didn't report it and then his bosses went and came back to him at MMA Fighting or whatever other source and was like, hey, Why are you behind? You're usually one of the first people to break these stories. Why have you broke this story 3 or 4 hours late? He's going to turn around and be like, Dana said I couldn't report it right now, but once he'd ran his fancy trailer, I could report it. It's bullshit. That is the only way to describe it. You can put it into any other logistic terms you want to try and make an excuse for the owners of Dana White, but they're trying to control every aspect of the sport. And there's one thing that, as people who enjoy the sport, and as people who enjoy sports in general, we are actually, it's our obligation to receive the news of the sport. No matter when it happens, we're there to receive the news. You want to try and feed it to the fans so that they can get excited for it. It doesn't happen on your terms. Part of the main reason this is all going to be back and forth is because the UFC's been fucking everyone around with McGregor, Diaz, when's it going to happen, McGregor's retirement, and that's not just Dana White's fault, that's McGregor and everyone involved in the association. And who is the one that pays the price? It's the fans. So if we want to find out who's fighting, we want to find that out. It's not up to you when it comes to us. It's up to reporters who, again, want to give the news and the distribution to those people who are paying for the fucking tickets to go and see it.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially because it's the fans that suffer the most out of all of these things. I wanted to finish, though, in general with that, like, I believe in today's day and age, in 2016, there's like a sliver of what the media is supposed to be doing actually exists. And the media was put in place to keep our government in checks and balances, originally, if you look into it historically. That's why it was created, to inform people about what was going on with our higher officers and executives. Now that branched off into sports media, and the point of sports media was the same thing, to keep people in check, to give people news and information based on what sports they wanted to follow, and that included everything from their fighters in the MMA to football players in the NFL to basketball players to everything. What we've gotten to in this point is that the media in itself, 99.9% of the time, reports on absolute garbage, follows false leads, and most of it is just rumored. Exactly why people like Ariel Helwani need to exist, and that's why I want to wrap up this point right here. Helwani was the one guy who kept questioning this McGregor versus Mayweather fight, and why he kept saying, he didn't say it wasn't going to happen, but he would consistently give you real factual reasons as to why it was so unlikely to happen, right? Remember, people were booking hotel rooms for September, 7th, right? At the MGM Grand, they're going to book hotel rooms there, right? But McGregor's got a contract, but Mayweather's got a contract, but how's that going to happen? And then what happens? Helwani reports that they're fighting on August 20th, right? UFC 202. The rest of the world finds out they're fighting on August 20th. Do you know who's not fighting in the beginning of September? McGregor Mayweather. Do you know the only person who was to really question that? Really question that. Instead of just going out there and calling it BS for what it's worth, it was Helwani. He was the first one out there. He's the Adrian Wojnarowski of MMA, of the UFC. He's the first on these stories, but he doesn't jump on false leads. So the fact of the matter that the UFC kicked out the one guy who does his job pretty much better than anybody else in his respective sport, UFC, Bellator, MMA, is complete bullshit.